Hey everybody, it's Marvin Washington, 11-year NFL vet. I'm just chopping it up with my man Charles Arbuckle, aka Buck, Texas guy.
Welcome to this week's edition of Chopping It Up with Buck. I had to get my guy Marvin Washington on. Marvin and I played against each other when I was at the Colts, he was at the Jets. We had some battles. Those old AFC battles were, I don't think people realize the tough conference that it was, and all the teams that we had to battle with, man. What about you? How you doing?
I'm good, man. And I definitely remember those battles, and I remember Buffalo being at the top of that pecking order with Miami coming second, or you guys coming second or third. But we were always at the bottom of the hill trying to climb it, man.
Well, let's go back in time in your story, man. You're from Dallas. You played basketball. You didn't play football in high school, right? You played mostly basketball.
Yeah, I played 4 years of, back then it was kind of in 1980, 81, my freshman year. I played, varsity basketball where everybody does it now. But
Yeah,
we didn't have AAU back then, not in Texas, we didn't.
yeah,
They didn't bring AAU to Texas until the 90s. Well, I played 4 years of basketball, and I went to UTEP
yeah,
with
yeah.
Gun Haskins, but I was recruited by Tim Floyd, who's still one of my best friends now. And then he transferred to Idaho, and then I transferred up to Idaho with him and played 1 year of basketball, 1 year of football, and was blessed and lucky enough to get drafted and started my NFL journey.
Well, going back to Kimball, see, a lot of people don't realize basketball in Texas was pretty strong. I was a basketball player growing up in the Houston area. Madison was the team to beat. Did you ever come across Larry Johnson and those DFW Metro?
Man, Larry was a freshman when I was a senior, and
Okay.
we beat Larry, but I always knew Larry was the strongest guy that I played against besides the football players like Rob
Yeah,
Bernstein, whatever.
yeah. Big Rod from Texas A&M.
The
Yeah.
strongest pure basketball player, and I knew he was going to be good. Been knowing Larry since then, and if I could shoot, I would have been Larry Johnson, but I couldn't shoot. So I had to put my hand in the dirt. But Larry was a fantastic player. I lived when I was married. I lived in the same development as his mom. We were
Okay.
neighbors, and Larry's back in New York working for the Knicks.
Yeah.
Uh, we run into each other and what have you. So yeah, that's our guy.
Yeah. I just had John Starks on last week, and we were talking a little
I
bit
know
about.
John. I know John. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. I think people don't realize when you get to the league, you run in those circles with guys or you bump into them, especially if you're in the same city and town. But it's all, I always tell people, you just don't realize the connections you have with folks, whether you went to college with them or in the NFL versus NBA or Major League Baseball or whatever sport it is.
Buck, with us, like, and with playing the time we did and being from Texas, I always tell my friends, I'm 6 degrees of separation from anybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I don't know them, I know somebody that knows them, or they know somebody that knows them. And that goes through, well, now most of the coaches are retiring out, but most of the players that played in the 80s and 90s, even 2000, I can get in contact with them with like one phone call. And
Yeah.
like we were worker guys in the NFL, but we wasn't bad actors. We wasn't causing problems, whatever.
Yeah.
They could count on us, so they're picking up our calls now.
Yeah, that's interesting, man. So tell me a little bit about your journey with UTEP, because I know Tim Floyd got you there. You struggled academically because I think you were a little frustrated with not getting the playing time at UTEP, right?
Yeah. And I went down there, man, and that was the deepest team. And we're all on a text thread now.
Yeah.
We're all on a text thread. And so Coach Floyd was getting the job at Idaho. He said, Marvin, I want you to go. And so he sent me to a JC for a semester so I can get my grades up. But I got my grades up, and it wasn't that bad because I got my associates from there too.
Yeah.
So I was cool. And then I went to Tim to University of Idaho. We're in a text message thread or whatever, and I played with him. And then he got the job at UNO, and Kermit Davis took over. And I played football, and I went and told Kermit after the football season that I wanted to get ready for the draft. Not
Yeah.
that I was getting invited to the combine, and I didn't, but I had like 17 teams come and see me.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we went, I would tell Mark Solera, that's how he got picked up. And I had another buddy, Richard Carey, played a couple years for the Bengals. That's how he got picked, because I would tell guys, and they would tell me if somebody's coming. And then what was the big tackle from Washington State? Mike
Utley. Mike Utley. Yeah.
Tell us when he was good, because he was going in the first round.
Yeah.
So guys would be at Washington State, which is only 6 miles away. I would go over there and work out, whatever. Yeah. And so that's how we got to look.
It's crazy. And UCLA was the same way. I can remember when Gaston and Ken and all those guys and Troy, I would go out and meet the scouts because I wasn't quite ready to be there, but I wanted to see what I had to get ready for. And then they would say, "Oh, we saw you on tape, blah, blah, blah." So it was, it gave you exposure early. And I think you see that more now with guys if you don't know if you're going to the combine or not. I knew I was going to go to the combine. I just didn't know where I was going to get picked.
Yeah, but so it's all about, and then that's one of the things that you learned early when I learned early, and you did too, is it's networking. That's all it is. It's networking and letting people see how you are, you know what I'm saying, and seeing that, seeing you in person. And seeing, that, there's nothing, you don't have any personality traits and what have you. And that's what they're looking for in the NFL. They're looking for a plug-in guy that can come and play.
Yeah.
Be in the off-season workouts, come in shape, don't have problems off the field and what have you, and they know they can count on you. And that's what I was, and that's what you was, and that's what, most of the NFL was about, is these solid guys who just show up to work day after day, do their job, don't miss assignments, be mentored to younger guys, be a positive influence in the locker room. That's the NFL.
Well, what's interesting, you bring up your year you were drafted 89. You guys had Dennis Byrd in the second, right? Ron Stahl worked in the fourth, and then you in the sixth. So you guys had a deep D-line draft class. Who was it Pete Carroll, the head coach in that?
No, it was Joe Walton.
That's right.
And so we were all drafted because we were trying to replace Mark Gastineau.
That's right.
And they went and did, drafted 3 of us. And then the next year when Pete Carroll came as a defense coordinator, they moved Jeff Lageman from outside linebacker to D-line. But the thing about the NFL, man, it doesn't matter where you drafted, because in training camp, and I say this, the NFL is like America is supposed to be. It's a level playing field. If you can play, they're going to give you that opportunity. If you can play, no. Now, the first round pick, second round pick, they're going to get a longer look. But if you can play, they're going to give you the opportunity, because they have to play the best players, because their job's on the line and what have you. Everybody in the organization is tied to winning, so they want to get the best players. So if you can play, don't worry about your draft status. Don't worry if you're a free agent or whatever. Go in there and show them that you can play, and you'll have a pretty good chance of making a team.
You bring up a great point. I was drafted by the Saints. I was there a year, went Plan B to Cleveland, got cut, and I was out for a year. Went to Indy, 5th on the depth chart in 92, but worked my way up, and then they really only kept 2 of us, Kerry Cash and myself.
Wow.
Then we had some other guys. So, I tell that story all the time. Being out of ball, working my butt off, went back to Austin to, work, stay with my mom. That's the last time I've stayed home. I love my mom. But I had, went to University of Texas, worked out with those guys, and then, got back in the league. But your point is well taken, man. When you get those opportunities, you got to make the most of them. And it seemed like you were able to do that too. What was the? When did you know in training camp, hey, I'm gonna make this team. I'm here.
Probably, because back then we thumped. You know how we did.
Yeah.
Wasn't no get a fit. We were full thumping, and I just kept grinding. And then it came to me like walking out of practice one day. I had a pretty good practice, and I was like, I can play with these guys.
Yeah.
Forget that they were from Auburn. Forget that they were from Virginia and all these big schools and whatever. I could play with these guys, and then I knew that I could play with them. And then I was trying to volunteer for special teams and what have you, and I was holding my own. And then the good thing, one of the good things that happened to me, once I made the team, some of the veterans took me under and they're like, what are you doing on Tuesday? I'm like, that's our day off. It's like, no, it's not. You need to be in here working out on Tuesday. Letting the coaches now see you working out and whatever, and it's going to help you get a head start on your week. That's what I did. I learned that early to come in on Tuesday, work out, get the film for the next week, and be a professional.
Yeah,
that's all that was.
Who were a couple of guys that took you under their wings? Because you guys have some really good players.
I know Paul Fraze, sixth rounder. Alex Gordon, he was a vet, and Scott Mercereau, our nose tackle. He was a workout warrior, and those are the guys that told me to come in. Had me, Dennis, and Ronnie coming in on Tuesday working out.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, I've been playing against you, Marvin, and I don't remember you ever talking a lot. Like some teams we played, like if you played not Buffalo, well, Tally would talk quite a bit, but it was more so Miami. When Brian Cox was there, B. Cox would just run his mouth. Right? I mean,
But Buck, I always tell guys, the further they're away from the ball, the more they talk. It was our DBs that had our heads, and they're talking, and then I'm like, dude, like, why are you talking to him? I got to go get stuff. We're getting this next play, and for the rest of the game, be quiet. I was just trying to do my job, man, and I was coming from basketball and whatever, and I wasn't like the football guy, whatever. It wasn't second nature to me, so I didn't have time to talk. I had to do my assignment and learn how to play football at a professional level, because the game didn't slow down to me until the end of my second year.
Wow.
Before that, it was like I was on the highway, and there was cars passing.
What was your come to the NFL moment? When were you like, okay, this is pretty cool? That time where you almost pinch yourself, or you think back to when you were a little kid and said, man, this is cool.
Oh man. I think once the game slowed down and I was starting, and just being a professional football player and seeing the reward, because we didn't win a lot, but when we did win, it felt so good.
Yeah.
And you could see the accumulation of the hard work and the film work and what have you, and the off-season work, it became worth it. And I was professional. I consider myself just a professional football player because, like I said, they never had any problems with me. I showed up on time. I studied my film. I did my job. They could count on me. That's what you want to be. And that's what I became probably in the middle of my third year. I became a professional football player. And that's what I try to tell these young kids now. And even then, all that other stuff happening off the field, it doesn't matter, and it won't matter, because this is the most important thing. And if you don't take care of this, all that other stuff you're doing off the field, they're not going to want to see you, and they're not going to be around you, and you're not going to be able to do it unless you take care of this. This is the priority.
Yeah, make the main thing the main thing.
Keep the main thing the main thing.
Hey, we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back with Marvin Washington, Chopping It Up with Buck.
At Heslop Wealth Advisors, our goal is to help small businesses develop quality retirement plans for their employees through our Lunch and Learn seminars. We provide lunch and learning tools to help your company succeed and unmatched customer service.
Join us each week and a new celebrity guest on Chopping It Up with Buck. Brought to you by Thin Energy. ThinEnergy.com.
All right, we're back chopping it up with Buck with Marvin Washington. Every week, we're brought to you by Thin Energy Hydration. For those people that are plant-based, they want healthy benefits. Marvin, you're going to get some of this. I don't know if you're plant-based now, but
I'm a pescatarian, plant-based diet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, most of the guys that come on, I'm not going to say I'm 100% plant-based because I have to have some meat, but I have learned how my body needs to operate better. So what got you into the plant-based lifestyle? I know you're really into cannabis, and we'll talk about that too, but plant-based wise, what made you go to that?
Well, that's part of it. And then just trying to have a quality of life that I think I kind of deserve. And, I live in the state capital of the United States, New York, and I can have a steak. I just got an invite on my phone today. I was like, no, I'm not in town. He was like, yeah, we're going to Gallender's, a steakhouse, whatever. But I was eating steak like twice a week, because everybody wanted wants to eat out, they, hey, let's go to the steakhouse, let's go to that steakhouse. The good thing is that 5 years ago, I went to the Cleveland Clinic through the NFL where they give you that complete physical for 3 days.
Yeah.
And they gave me that markup and whatever. And they said, okay, but you don't want to, if you keep going like this, this can be the result. And I took it to heart, man. And I changed my whole diet. I got rid of red meat and whatever, and with heart healthy, omega fat fishes and whatever that I have, and then plants and vegetables. And since I've been going back, I've been getting a clean bill of health, man, because I always tell people you can keep eating like you did when you're in your 20s and 30s and even early 40s. But when you get about 45 or 50, that check engine light, it's going to come on. And it's going to come on for me unless I change things. And so that's what I did.
That's great, man. Well, getting back to the NFL kind of career, you and Dennis Byrd were close. And I can remember, what happened with him. Man, tell us how that was, because that was, I didn't play with you guys, but Marcus Turner was on that team. There were a lot of guys I knew. We played y'all twice a year. So we battled y'all hard. Bobby Houston was another cat that came out with me. So I knew a lot of y'all. I mean, we played each other all the time, and it was great. Y'all were fierce rivals or fierce competitors, but we always seemed to beat you. But when that Dennis Byrd thing happened, man, that shook all of us up. Tell us a little bit about what went on in the locker room with that.
We were young guys, and we thought about sports in terms of injuries, just orthopedic. But this was a life and death situation, man. And I just remember when it happened, we should have stopped the game. The game should have been stopped, but we played it, and I don't recall it. And I remember going in the locker room after the game, and I just remember it being dark, and Bruce came in and was the head coach, and he didn't know what to say. And then one of our, the fullback, Brad Baxter, said, hey, everybody, let's pray. And we prayed, and I went to the city, and then it just started to seem like everything started to fall in place for Dennis, because there was a back and spine specialist at at Lenox Hill Hospital that was flying out the next morning from Europe, that was at the hospital, and he's the one that operated on Dennis. And it was kind of touch and go. And I went to the hospital every day, and that's why I have respect for our owner, Mr. Leon Hess. I used to see him up there at the practice. He was up there like every day. And it was just a matter of Dennis' faith, Dennis' determination, and him fighting it to where, he was able to walk out that hospital, and that was my guy, drafted the same year. We're roommates on the road, and, he was from the dirt in Tulsa, and I was from the city in Dallas, but we got along. It was like, we got along, and he remained a good friend for me for the rest of my life, man. He's a solid dude, man. And I still think that he deserves more in life, but I'm not, the creator. And I think, he decides that, man. And I know Dennis was strong in his faith, so I know he's getting his reward now.
I've heard nobody ever say bad words about Dennis Byrd. And when that happened, it still almost chokes me up to think about all of you guys that were there. And to your point, we saw it with DeMar Hamlin, and the game stopped with his heart. But when the neck and spine injury like that, you would expect, you don't move the ball down 15 yards. In the league, as much as I love our league, I know sometimes it ain't.
They've made progress since then.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, the next year when Dennis came out and walked on the field and did the coin toss, it was against you guys.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
I had to make the announcement before the game, and I was nervous because I was trying to focus in the game or whatever. And one of y'all receivers just like, yo, calm down. You got it, was because everybody came up to midfield. Both teams came up to midfield, and the receiver was like, yo, calm down. And he calmed me down. He said, you got this. I was like, okay, cool.
Man, it's funny you say that, because I remember being at that game. I mean, we always tease about the Meadowlands. Y'all would open up the garage door. We were on offense. Would open up the garage door so the ball would swirl all over. But if memory serves me correct, if that was the game, that might not have been the game. I had a walk-off touchdown against y'all, and Marcus Turner was in. It was covered 3. I don't think it was that game. It may have
Was it in 94?
It might have been 94. But 93, I remember when Dennis was there, because I mean, it was crazy. The atmosphere in that stadium, and just even for us, man, it didn't matter. We wanted to beat y'all, but we really wanted him to have all the rewards of life as a football. I mean, it was a football community situation there.
Yeah, it was. It was. We compete against each other, but off the field and even on the field, we don't want to see anybody hurt. We don't want to see anybody jeopardize their livelihood or even have problems off the field. And that's part of the brotherhood of the NFL. And that's why, and probably how you are, I keep a database of my ex guys that I played with and whatever, and he played against, that I check in with to see how they're doing, man, because I'm far enough removed from the game that, we should check in with each other and see how each other are doing, because it's about life now. And it's about enjoying and looking back and having laughs and what have you, and giving some of the wisdom that we acquired by playing in it to the younger generation.
Sadly enough, Dennis was killed in an automobile accident. And that was also, I remember seeing that news, I think in October of 2016, if memory served me. It was just another, I mean, a guy that had a catastrophic injury, seemed like he was on the progression, and then have that.
Man, that was a tough deal.
Well, just for that era of our lives, man, it was great competing against you. But then as you transitioned, you went to San Francisco, Denver, and San Francisco again.
I started winning.
You won the Super Bowl. Now, in Denver, right? It was with Denver. You won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
When you were there, was Mike Lotus, my former teammate?
Yeah, this was my man. But also, I believe Terry fired him, but he was your offense coordinator your junior year. Greg Robinson was on.
Well, Greg Robinson should have never been the offensive coordinator.
I know, but Greg thought he knew it all. I love Greg. R.I.P.
Greg, my position coach and my OC my last year. He was a defensive guy all the way through. I think he played tight end in college. Greg was a great dude, but he never should have been an offensive coordinator for us my senior year. But with that said, defensive wise, G-Rob was outstanding, man, and it seemed like he got there and got you guys playing at a whole nother level.
He taught me how to play professional football. He taught me because he came my second year. He taught me how to play professional football, how to film study, how to look for cues, how to get in the stance. Because he was like, look at your stats in the first quarter. Now look at it now. Look how you made sure you take the right steps, and that's important. That's important because you learn how to play football the right way, and you don't develop any bad habits later on in your career. And I think that's why I was able to extend my career and go to Denver and go to San Francisco, because I could just play the game the right way. I didn't have any of these bad habits on the field or off the field. And,
his attention to detail was always what I was impressed with, Marvin. I mean,
very sharp. Very sharp. He's the one that brought me to Denver. Because at that point, they were looking for a guy to come in and rotate and whatever and be part of the rotation, but he couldn't be a problem off the field or whatever.
No.
And so Mike Shanahan didn't know any of the guys, and so he went to Mark Schlereth, and he said, "Mark, you know any of these guys?" And Mark pointed at my name and said, that guy is a Bronco. And then he went up to Greg, and Greg goes, yeah, I was trying to get him in here, whatever. So they had me in there. They didn't let me leave until I signed my contract, but I was happy, man. That was one of my best years because, I spent like some dog years in New York as far as winning and losing. That was a reward to go 14-2, win the Super Bowl. And, playing primetime games, Monday night, Sunday night, whatever. Yeah. We didn't get that in New York.
Now, was Alfred Williams also there at the time?
I played, yeah. Is he from Beaumont Westbrook?
No, he's from Houston. I can't remember what school. I grew up in Beaumont in the summers, but I went to Willow Ridge, and I know Alfred was guy, John. I can't remember the high school, but he was from HIS.
Went to TJ Ford.
TJ Ford was at
but you guys got a plethora of athletes.
Yeah, after me. Yeah, yeah,
But you guys got
yeah.
a bunch of athletes that's came through there, man. So that's great.
Well, it's interesting. What was it like winning the Super Bowl? Because I think everybody envisions it to be a certain way. And after those years in New York, finally getting a chance to play on a competitive team when you have Elway and you got all those weapons that you had, what was that like for you?
It was good, man. It was accumulation. My dad was alive then, and my mother and my in-laws came, my kids came, my sisters now came, and it was a reward for them, because they had been up in New York freezing, and we're getting booed and deservingly so,
Yeah,
and getting beat. And that was year 10 of my career. And like I said, it was just like I was being rewarded because I think I did everything the right way.
mm-hmm.
I didn't try to cheat anything, and I was being rewarded for the hard work that I had put in the previous 9 years. And the football gods or whatever it was wanted to reward me, and that's what it was. And I'm so happy that I have that experience. And that's another text message group. I'm in here, man.
I know. Hey, when you have guys that you bond with, man, it's cool when you can text each other and get together that way, or when you go back to reunions and you don't miss time. The locker room, Marvin, I think is the one sacred place for all of us. I think you hit the nail on the head. There's a lot of issues in our country, but I wish people could have dinner together and get in our locker rooms and spend time together.
You learn about different cultures. You learn about different parts of the country and how other people grew up,
Yeah.
And the biggest thing with every locker room that I've been in, the two things were don't bring religion and don't bring politics into the locker room. And you see more that what you have in common with a guy that grew up in a small town in Iowa than the difference being you with the guy that grew up in a large urban area. You're able to break bread with him. You have this common goal. So you're able to see him, work hard, and you guys are sweating, and you're able to see him when he's mad, when he's happy, when he's disappointed, when you all are disappointed, and then you see like, oh, he's a good dude,
Yeah.
and that's why like my Facebook page, I'm not on it that much, but it's most of a lot of former teammates. And when I do come in, it's about their kids' graduation or the kids getting jobs or the kids doing this or the kids playing sports. That's what it's about, man, because I had a teammate named Guy Bingham, and he lives in Montana, and he's doing a lot of positive things. And I would just hit him up on Facebook, like, yeah, man. And then one day I just hit him in the message, like, I'm proud of you, man. I'm proud that I was your teammate, and you're a good dude. And that's what it's about.
I love your shirt. That's Stax Records down in Memphis, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Otis Redding. For as many times as I've been to Memphis, I have never been to the museum because it closes so early. Is that?
Oh man, you gotta go. You gotta go.
Yeah.
So one of the things that when I go like for weekend trips or whatever, I try to immerse myself into the local food scene. I don't want to go and eat at Fridays. I want to go where the locals go and what have you.
Central Barbecue or
yeah. Memphis in May is unbelievable.
Okay.
But my partner, my girlfriend, she hadn't been. So we went a couple years ago, and I took her, of course, to Graceland. I took her to Sun Records, and the last visit we took was the Stacks, and then we did Beale Street. We did the Civil Rights Museum.
Okay.
Lorraine Hotel, and that's like, man, that's really profound and what have you.
Let me ask you about the Lorraine Motel, because I don't care how many times I go there. I don't think people don't realize if you haven't seen it, kind of how tight it is, but just how things seem to just stay still when you go there. Oh, man.
Let me tell you a quick story about the Lorraine Hotel. So we were visiting my grandmother because we were living in Denver, and we were visiting my grandmother in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. So we're flying out of Little Rock. But we had a stopover in Memphis because my dad worked for the hotel with me, the airline. And we had like a 5-hour stopover in Memphis. And so my mother was like, with her 5 kids, was like, what do y'all want to do? We said, well, let's go get something to eat. We came out, and this was in 1973. We came out, there was a black taxi driver, and we said, well, what can we do? He said, y'all want to see what Dr. King got shot? And we went by the Lorraine Hotel, and it looked like the Carters. It was in disrepute. it was transients, it was drug, it was a horrible hotel.
Yeah.
And we were just dumbfounded because it was like, wow, because they let it fall. And then the next time I saw it, I was in college in like 87, 88.
Uh-huh.
Then it be turned into the museum, and then it froze in time. And I think it is now what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a historical place where you go there and you reflect and see how far we came and see what the personal sacrifice that this man did, because the museum is awesome. You know, sitting in the bus with Rosa Parks and going through in the civil rights movement from 55 until Dr. King and whatever. They've done a wonderful job there.
Yeah, and I think the big thing that I always say, I'm a history major. You can try to take away the books, you can try to remove things. They're never going to go away. And I think you and I connected James Baldwin, some of the things on social media. I mean, James Baldwin, he was wicked in what he was saying about civil rights. And there's a lot more people than just him, but Lorraine Hansberry, Martin Luther King. I mean, there's a lot of people, if you read, they were just in the Fannie Lou Hamer.
Fannie Lou Hamer.
Yeah.
She has a high school named after in the Bronx. And so we were doing this deal, going up there and giving them help, like pre-pandemic. And there was a group of us. And then he sat down and asked, like, does anybody know who Fannie Lou Hamer is? And these were like doctors and attorneys, whatever. Nobody knew. I was like, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I was made back in the 60s in Mississippi, going against Bull Connor and all those people. But the thing is, like you said, they can take away the books, but they can't take away our history. And now the information is at the end of these kids' fingertips. So there's no reason for them not to know some of this stuff. Yeah.
That's the awesome part. Now we have access to it. So transitioning to you got into cannabis, and I saw some articles about you, and just guys were doing that. I've had CBD, but I haven't gone the other route. But just really for helping you feel better, and just all the different things, you have really dug deep into that. We can do a whole show.
Here's the whole thing, Bob. Everybody goes, yeah, you're in the cannabis, but I don't smoke it. I don't take edibles. I'm strictly CBD because I can't take it, man, because I don't like the way it makes me feel. But I have educated myself on the medicinal benefits of it.
Yeah.
And I do advocate it, because I think it's medicine. I think that's the way we medicated for thousands of years, something natural, without these opiates and benzodiazepines that not only professional football player, but the country's on. Let's get back to nature. Let's get back to how we medicated ourselves and our ancestors medicated themselves for thousands of years, and to let it be plant-based. So let's see something like, particularly CBD, doesn't eat high, doesn't eat stone, but it gets you healthy. Yeah. THC, if you like it and you can handle the psychotropic effect, it has some medicinal benefits of it. I just had one of our former compadres, Big Michael Carter. He reached out to me like, Marvin, like, CBD is not working. THC makes me go to sleep. I said, let me find something for you, Michael. Maybe a blend of the two, low dosage, take it and then see if it can give you some relief. That's what I'm about, man. It's about helping guys. And it's not like, I always say, like, everybody says, well, they just get high. And I say, well, nobody's getting high because they just get high. Everybody's trying to get high because they want to feel better. That's what most that I know, but I don't I didn't smoke in high school, they smoked in college.
I mean, I'm trying to say, I'm not, if my boys, if that's what they want to do, I'm not downing it. I think,
but you know what? If it helps guys get off these opiates and pills and stuff, I'm for it and whatever. But it's just like when you're drinking alcohol, use it responsibly.
Yeah,
use it responsibly.
You had, I think, the thing that just struck me and doing some research on you also too. You had, you were part of a lawsuit against Jeff Sessions, the Attorney General, right? You're on a board called Athletes for Care. Tell us a little bit about what you were trying to accomplish with that lawsuit and being a part of that.
The whole thing is we were trying to go at it on the constitutionality of how cannabis got put on the controlled substance list and trying to get it off, because the attorneys that I went, they're like an ESG law firm and do a lot of social justice. And they approached me And I was like, I don't know. So they gave me the brief, and it was like a 110-page brief. And it was like the history of cannabis when I read it, because I was going to LA. So I was reading it on the plane. And then once I got to the part where we came to 30s, where Henry Anslinger wanted to go after, and this is a statement, not mine, that marijuana will make the nigger feel as good as the white man. That kind of pissed me off. And then we go to the 60s, late 70s, when Nixon's thinking about doing it. Nixon wanted to go after two groups. He wanted to go after counterculture hippies of the 60s, and he wanted to go after African Americans. So how do you do that? You go after it with cannabis. And that started, the prison population started tripling with us.
Okay.
With the tie-dye, they could go from the tie-dye to the suit and tie, which a lot of them did. We can't change our color.
Yeah.
And so that started the failed war on drugs. And then Reagan picked it up, and Bill Clinton signed the crime bill, which I had no problem with that because crack was killing us. But it just started that deal. So you see the etymology of it. It came out of a racial connotation. And then I joined it. And so we took it as far as any other lawsuit has been. I think we've moved the ball down the field. And now you're starting to see it be a states' rights issue, and more states are just coming on. And eventually the Fed's going to come on. And we're going to medicate with a plant-based medicine, whether it's CBD or THC, and you get it like you get it from the doctor. CBD would be OTC, over the counter, but THC, you'll have to get a prescription from your doctor. And I have no problem with that because it's non-addictive, it's non-toxic, and it can help. It can help.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you also do a little online educational show about cannabis, and where can people find that?
420 Media. It's an app that you get that's on Roku. It's on Google TV, Apple TV, and what have you. And it's just a little fun show where we come out and give some factual things about the medicinal benefits of cannabis, because I want to change the narrative. And when you see cannabis, I don't want you to see, and let me not disparage them because they've done a lot, Cheech and Chong. I don't want to have that image. I want to have an image of responsible use.
Okay.
So when you talk about alcohol, you're not thinking about Otis from Andy Griffin's show. You're thinking about responsible use. That's what I want this to be, man. And I try to spread that message. And like I said, I try to spread that message. And I'm a big believer in the whole plant of medicinal use. And I use part of it, the CBD part.
Well, man, it's been great having you on. We do a little bit at the very end called 2-minute drill. So
that's fine.
Yeah. It's real quick and easy. And with that Stack shirt on, I gotta ask, what's in the Apple Music, Spotify? What's rotating for you when you're kind of chilling?
Right now I'm at my mom and my dad's place, and so I'm going through his records. And so right now I'm going through like Duke Ellington, Jimmy Smith, Miles Davis, John Coltrane.
Okay.
And, just going through that right now because I'm a big jazz guy too.
But so Brew by Miles, huh?
Yeah. But the kind of blues, like really it, man. And so I'm just doing that right now, man, and helping my son. But that's where I am. I'm a 70s funk, of course 80s R&B and pop, 90s rap. And then I think I'll let him take it from there.
Well, you talked about playing basketball in high school and then playing football. What would be better for you? A walk-off dunk to win the game, or a sack strip, take it to the house?
Sack strip, take it to the house, man, in front of 90,000 people, 80,000 people, man. That feeling, just like with the tight end, you had a walk-off TD against There's no better feeling than that, man.
My only touchdown in the league came against you guys, and I got my boy Marcus Turner because he was the safety.
I love Marcus.
That's my guy. But y'all were playing cover 3, which y'all like to do. We had 2 tights, so we're going 4 verts, and he kind of hesitated. Jack Trudeau hit me, walked up. That's my only touchdown in the league, but it had to come against my Bruin brother.
That's funny that you say we were in a cover 3 because teams are getting away from it. Now it's all too high.
No, they don't.
Cover 2. Quarterbacks are struggling. But I don't even know if they have colleges are developing a safety that can play that single, be that single fielder back there.
Well, Marcus played corner and safety.
He was a professional football player.
Yeah. And I think the other thing you're seeing more of, man, is the quarters coverage. You don't see cover 3 as much as you see quarters and some of the, you'll see 2 or single high, or they'll try to disguise stuff now in college, with the wide open offenses, right?
The defenses are starting to adjust to these this little spread offense. They were ahead.
Yeah.
So it's good, man.
Yeah. So my last one for you is the best place you visited in the world. I mean, you lived in New York, you grew up in Texas. What's your spot like? This is where I could be. I could go here and I could just. That's fun.
I like history, and first time I went to Paris when I was playing, I was just in Paris. Second time I went a few years ago, I did the Black Paris tour. I learned about like all the American expats that went over there, from Josephine Baker to Sidney Bechet, and then learning how the god Isis, the African queen, is the one that saved Paris, because Paris was built on an island, was sinking, and they made a shrine to her. And the Notre Dame Cathedral is built on the largest shrine of Isis in Europe or in the world. Is the Notre Dame Cathedral is built on top of that. And learning about that history and seeing all their metalwork is Sankofa. But then I had chicken and waffles when I was eating chicken back then. I had chicken and waffles in Paris. I got with the people because I did all my research.
Yeah.
And I've gone back one other time. I could go there, but in 2024, but I'm going to the motherland. I definitely want to see that. But right now, it's Paris.
Gotcha. Man, that has been so cool. When you score a touchdown on that, man, that was easy. That was your strip sack, return it to the house. The thing is, I'm going to call you professor, because a lot of people don't talk about the Black expat movement, some of the things. And what you just said is so true, the research. Look it up, read it, because it's all there and you can find it. So I got to share notes with you, because I haven't been to Paris yet, and I am going to the motherland at some point as well.
Man, let me know, because people hate like going places with me, driving with me, because if I see a historical sign, I gotta stop and read it. You like all that stuff. Just walk and I see all these markers and stuff, and I take pictures of them, because up here, back in Jersey where I live, there's Joe Jeanette, the black boxer, the heavyweight champion that Jack Johnson sort of drew the color line. There's a plaque for him not that far from my house, and then I go running and walking at something called James Braddock Park, the Cinderella Man. Also a place I walk past the dueling grounds of Burr and Hamilton, where they had their dueling deal, and people don't know that Hamilton's son was killed there like 7 years later. Same dueling ground. There's a lot of historical stuff in New York. It's particularly on the Hudson River, but also in Harlem, also in the city. There's a lot of African-American stuff, like we were talking yesterday about Seneca Village. And Central Park was, and we was talking about that and how they, got displaced and whatever. A lot of history, man. I'm a history buff, not a history major, but I'm a history buff.
Well, man, it's been good having you on. Thanks for coming on the Chopping It Up with Buck show. We'll have you again, especially as you get ready for that motherland visit.
Oh, yeah. We'll do a whole show about do it when I come back. All right,
man. Thanks.